Well, they've found a Bronze Age sword in Bavaria from 1300 BC, and we just thought it looked so great that we just had to talk about it.
Yes, that's it. It's so beautiful. It's such an astonishing find that we thought we'd pop up and talk about it. The thing is, it's just such a beautiful state of preservation, which is so rare. And they say that it's to do with the unusual soil conditions that have kept it so pristine.
Yeah,
there's an even patina across it, so it hasn't corroded. It's still sharp. Anyway, do you want to read the article there, Michael?
I will do that thing. Archaeologists from the Bavarian State Office for the Preservation of Monuments have announced the discovery of a well-preserved Bronze Age sword in the town of Nördlingen, Bavaria, Germany. It says most Bronze Age remains around Nördlingen belong to the Urnfield culture, often divided into several local cultures within the broader Urnfield tradition, which emerged around 1300 BC. The Urnfield culture grew from the preceding tumulus culture and developed advanced metalworking skills in bronze weaponry and armour. You know, Rupert, we sometimes complain, or you complain, about the number of the proliferation of cultures that you get in prehistory, that it just it becomes something crazy. What we've got interesting here, and we always complain that these cultures are named after tiny little villages, or maybe somebody that discovered them, but they're always very sort of localised and fragmented. But here we've got Urnfield culture. Do you know why it's called the Urnfield culture?
Why is it called the Urnfield culture, Michael?
Because they cremated their dead and buried them in urns in fields.
Do you know what? I have respect for that.
Yes. We can't complain about that one, can we?
That's better than being named after a tiny little village and thinking that it's an entire culture. I'll go with that, Urnfield.
So the Urnfield culture grew from the preceding tumulus culture. I wonder how they buried their dead. Anyway, the sword. Let's get to the sword. The sword was found among a deposit of grave goods and weaponry alongside the remains of a man, a woman and a child. The discovery is extremely rare for this part of Germany, as most burial mounds have long been looted during antiquity or opened during the 19th century. In Germany as here, sadly. Sword is similar to the bronze D-type Rixheim swords in that it uses a solid hilt made by overlay casting of the handle over the blade, although the sword type has been described as octagonal. It's the hilt that is octagonal. What were your first thoughts when you first saw the pictures of this? You know, what links formed in your mind? I could not
believe... well, apart from the fact that it looked like it came out of the Lord of the Rings. It's just... I don't think I have ever seen an artefact or a photograph of an artefact just come out of the ground that looks as pristine as this. It's just bizarre, actually. And you'll probably come to it in the article, but the fact that there's no trace of it ever having been used, it's just utterly pristine. That's the thing that did it for me. I did gasp when I saw the photographs.
Indeed. Funnily enough, my brain went to Game of Thrones.
Yes,
well, that deal. Actually, to be fair, which was wrong, because the weaponry they used in using Game of Thrones is actually quite orthodox. It's quite orthodox medieval stuff that they've used the designs from. No, this actually has strong resemblances to a couple of swords from actual. Swords from Lord of the Rings, what they ever
actual
designed.
Swords from the Lord of the Rings.
Actual swords, yes, of which you can buy many replicas online. One that was owned by Theoden, and I can't remember the name of that sword.
Well done.
And yes, and there's another one. One of the riders of Rohan had a sword. I'll put them on the screen so you can see the resonances with this. I think that's what struck us out of this. There was a kind of fantasy element coming out of the ground from 1,300 from 3,000 years ago.
Yes.
Represented in the design and beauty of it, frankly.
Yeah, when you look how beautifully it's embellished.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a complex thing to do, and yes, it is a functioning sword. They've tested for it to say that it was functional rather than ceremonial.
Yeah.
So for it to be that beautiful for something that functional, it's a killing machine. That's what it is.
However, there are swords from that culture, from that area, which are not too dissimilar, but this is a special one by the looks of it. But, the overall feel and design from the Urnfield culture, who bury their dead in urns in fields, it's quite similar. Anyway, so getting to something you mentioned, the hilt is ornately decorated. The blade shows no indication of impact marks. This suggests the sword had a ceremonial function or was a symbol of high status. However, according to the researchers, it would still have served as an effective weapon, as the centre of gravity on the front part of the blade indicates that it would be used predominantly for slashing. I have a slightly, in addition to that, I've got a bit of a take on it because of the way it's been buried with the other weaponry, the other artifacts in the grave. And what you've got there is also a collection of arrowheads and what look like archery accessories. I think one of the artifacts, I don't know if you can see it in the picture, looks like an archer's bracer to me. So, he may be high-ranking, but this guy is still a soldier, it looks to me. And functional, but unused, not necessarily ceremonial. That's my take, isn't it? What do I know?
Yeah.
But,
but it's like so many of these things, isn't it? Write your own story.
Yeah.
It's, yes, that's it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were a warrior and they wanted to bury you with beautiful things that you can use in the afterlife, maybe. Don't know.
Yeah. Cool. Matthias File, head of the Bavarian State Office for the Preservation of Monuments, said the sword and the burial still have to be examined so that our archaeologists can classify this find more precisely. But it can already be said the condition is exceptional. A find like this is very rare. Whether the sword was locally crafted or was imported is currently being investigated. There are 3 main distribution centres during the Bronze Age for octagonal swords, apparently. One in southern Germany, which is where we are, sort of central southern Germany, and the others in northern Germany and in Denmark. And a comparison of the casting techniques and the decoration shows that some of the octagonal swords in the north are apparently replicas of South German forms, while other pieces could be genuine imports or the product of wandering craftsmen. And sounds like a lot of speculation based on
it does, doesn't
a
it?
little bit of evidence, but nevertheless, what do you do?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there's not much more that can be said other than the fact that obviously they're still researching this, and it'll be interesting to see because they haven't yet done any DNA testing on the bones,
Sure.
and when you've got man, woman, and boy buried here, then it does. Your immediate impression is that it's a family unit, but that's not known yet. I'm just looking forward to seeing what what the actual results are when they've done the lab work. So.
But anyway, we decided to bring that to you because we just loved the aesthetic of it. We thought it might, the look of it might strike the same sort of resonance as it did with us. It's not insignificant from a prehistory point of view, but we just thought the preservation and the visuals of it are quite just so remarkable from so long ago.
Yeah, and the fact that it apparently is a very sophisticated form of bronze casting as well.
Indeed.
So,
well, I think also you have to look at artifacts from other areas of the Urnfield culture to recognise that they were pretty high up there as far as skills in bronze and other metalworking.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes.
Stuff.
Note to self: must go and research Urnfield burials.
Yes, we must. Hope you enjoyed that, folks. I hope you find as much joy in that piece of work as we do. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Do have a look at our Patreon page. There's a wonderful group of people there who support us on a monthly basis. And also, of course, we've got a massive project going along, which you see the details down in the description below, a project called GÖBEKLI TEPE to STONEHENGE. We are open to help in that regard as well. So do have a look at both of those links, and we'll say ta-ra for now.
Yes, and worth mentioning that there's loads of stuff on the Patreon subscribers page that's not available anywhere else as well. So if you
we could go into numbers.
There's loads over there.
There's years worth of stuff that doesn't see the light of day elsewhere. Anyway.
Indeed, yeah.
That's it for now, folks. Till the next time.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.